American idioms, English expressions, American slang, English phrasal verbs. I'm sure that you've studied all of these books, or at least some books related to English phrases, English expressions, English vocabulary, and the list goes on. But I'm also very sure that you feel like your English is not improving. And it gets a little bit annoying, right? Well, one of my students 2 weeks ago told me the exact same thing. He said, "Tiff, I'm studying so hard, but I still feel like I'm not improving." And as I listened to him, I realized many students just like him have the exact same complaint. But I don't want you to worry, because today I have 7 different things you can do to stop feeling like your English is not improving. Now, before I tell you those 7 things, I need you to do something for me. My goal is to help 1 billion students, that's right, around the world gain confidence in their English speaking ability. But I need you to do something for me. I need you to like, share, and subscribe. Because when you do that, it tells YouTube that, wait a minute, this video can help many other students. So I need you to like, share, subscribe. Here we go. Come on. Like, share, subscribe. One more time. I said like, share, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'm Teacher Tiffani. Let's jump right in. All right. To get started, we are going to look at these 3 letters, F, R, and S. Now, the first thing is feelings. Second, the reasons, and third, the solutions. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to look at the feelings that you are having related to not improving in English. Then we're going to look at the reasons behind those feelings, and finally the solutions. Oh, how I love solutions. So let's look at the first reason, or the first feeling connected to that reason. Here we go. First, you feel like you're not able to understand something you hear or see on TV. Now think about it. You've watched a lot of American television programs or English movies, and you feel a little bit confused. You don't feel good. Even though you can understand my videos, why can't you understand the movies or the television programs? Now here's the reason why you feel this way. Because you want to enjoy and understand real English. In other words, you don't want your English to sound like book English. Man, I've had so many students tell me this. They said, "Teacher, I've been to lots of English institutes. I've studied with lots of teachers, but it seems like when I hear another English speaker, a native English speaker speaking English, I have no idea what they're saying. Or when they use slang or other expressions, I don't understand because they're using real English." Well, don't worry. I told you I got a solution for you. Don't even worry about it. Here we go. Here's the solution to this issue. First, I want you to get a notebook or a journal. Then I want you to write down real English. Now, again, I said real English refers to those expressions or vocabulary words or concepts that you are made aware of when you watch English television programs or watch English movies, or even when you hear teachers like myself or other amazing English teachers on YouTube say something that you've never heard before. Those phrases, those expressions, those vocabulary words are real English. So write them down in your notebook. Now, after you write them down, I want you to also use a picture, a sketch, or a specific note. Remember, I said your brain always needs a trigger. So write something down. Draw a little simple picture next to the word that you can remember when you see something later. So for example, let's say, for example, I'm going to get a piece of paper real quick. Got my little note right here. Let's say, for example, I learned a new expression. Now, I'm going to do it actually right now. Let's say I learned the new expression, let my hair down. Now, let my hair down just means to relax and stop being so uptight. So let my hair down. Think about the facial expression when you are able to relax. Okay, so in order for me to remember this expression, let my hair down. So maybe I'll draw a picture of a woman, right? And she has a big smile on her face, right? And maybe my sketch, can you see it? Can you see it? I just did it real quick. But again, it doesn't have to be a perfect sketch. I just did a circle real quick and a big smile with someone's eyes closed, right? So again, the sketch right here, real quick, in my notebook would look like that. So whenever I think of let my hair down, I would remember that, the sketch of that woman looking so happy and relaxed. That's what I want you to do. All right. So again, this first feeling you have, the solution is to write down real English and connect it with sketches or drawings. All right. Okay. Now, next we have seeing other students speak English better than you. Now, I know that you have experienced this. I experienced it when I was studying Korean. I'd hear someone else speak in perfect Korean that was a student, and I'd say, man, they're really good. Why can't I speak like them? And it would kind of bother me a little bit. Here's the reason. The reason why you may experience this is because you admire their ability to speak English well, but you really want to speak English like them one day. You really want to be like them. You want to sound really good when you speak in English. You want to sound confident. So here's what you need to do. All right, here's the solution. First, write 3 things you admire. For example, I remember some students that spoke Korean better than me. I admired their ability to express themselves without being nervous. I admired their ability to speak fluently, like their pace was very good. There were no pauses when they spoke. And third, I admired their composure. Like they were able to be composed no matter what the situation was. I really admired that. All right. So again, write 3 things you admire. Write why you admire them and then add them to your goals. Remember, I said you always need to have goals. Why do you want to do something? Write your goals down. This is going to help you focus on your goals instead of that person. All right. So that's number 2. Now, number 3 is also something that many students complain about. Getting overwhelmed by the amount of English you have to learn. You have to learn a lot, right? And sometimes you look at the entire amount and you get overwhelmed. But what's the reason? Why do you get so overwhelmed? You see, it's because instead of focusing on the tasks you have to do for the day, you start to look at everything you must memorize and learn. So for example, if you have an exam, right? You have to study 10 chapters. Now the exam is in 2 months. If you focus on 10 chapters every day, you won't pass the exam. But if you break it down into small parts and only focus on what's important for that specific day, then eventually you will accomplish your goal. So that's what happens. You need to focus on your task for the day and not the big picture. All right. So how do you do this? I got you. First, look at your long-term goals. For example, if you want to memorize 1,000 vocabulary words, okay. 1,000 vocabulary words is your long-term goal. Then divide them into 12 months. Now, you probably remember me giving you this formula in a previous lesson several months ago. Break down your goals into small parts. Break them down first into 12 months. Then after you do that, what I want you to do is divide those into 4 weeks. That's right. There are 4 weeks in a month. And I want you to break down your goals into small parts. Then you will know what to focus on for each specific week. And it will help you stop being stressed. All right. Now, number 4. Let's move on to number 4. Here we go. You feel nervous whenever you speak in English. It's kind of like, you can't find the words to say because you get so nervous, and that makes you feel like your English is not improving. So what's the reason? Why do you get nervous? You actually still focus on what other people think about you. In other words, you think they might laugh at you. Now listen to me. I want you to pay attention right now. I completely understand what you are going through. When I was studying Korean, I got so nervous when I would speak in front of certain people. Now, if it was my close friend, I was okay. But if it was someone I thought may look at me and laugh if I made a mistake, I would suddenly not be able to speak. So I completely understand. But I also have a solution, and I promise it will help you. So if you feel nervous when you go to speak in English, here's what you need to do. Find the root cause. Is it a specific person? Is it something dealing with the way your voice sounds? Find the root cause. Then what you need to do is analyze the situation, all right? When you get nervous, stop and think. Why am I nervous right now? Is it the person I'm speaking to? Is it because I don't know a lot about this subject? What's causing you to feel nervous? I almost said me because, again, I remember when I used to feel nervous. But again, find the cause, then analyze the situation. Then you need to write some specific ideas. Figure out how you can overcome that feeling in that moment. For example, I used to feel nervous, and I remember one specific person, whenever I spoke to her, I would get nervous because I felt like she was judging my ability. Now, she's my friend, but again, it was in my mind. So whenever I would start speaking to her, in the back of my mind, I'd say, she doesn't think I can speak Korean well. She thinks I'm going to make a mistake. So I had to get that thought out of my head because she never said anything, but I just felt like that when I spoke in front of her. So I had to analyze the situation and then figure out a way to actually stop that thought from coming into my mind. You can do the same thing. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to our next one. Number 5. Number 5 is discouraged when you make mistakes as you speak in English. Listen, I know it gets very, very difficult to speak properly in English, but as soon as you make a mistake, you feel dejected. Hey, brand new word for you. Dejected just means discouraged and not having any hope or sad. Dejected. You feel, I made another mistake. I'm not good. So why are you feeling that way? Why do you feel dejected or discouraged when you make a mistake? Here's the reason. You seek perfection, but sometimes you forget the importance of the process. Never forget the process. I've mentioned to you all before, as I watch my niece is 3 years old. As I watch her learning the English language, man, she makes so many mistakes. But it's the process that every child has to go through. They make mistakes, and then somehow their brain helps them correct the mistakes as they hear other individuals speak properly. So she doesn't get discouraged when she makes mistakes because her goal is to get her point across. So again, it happens to us. We get discouraged a bit when we make mistakes. We feel dejected. But I have a solution. Don't worry. Here's the solution. First, I need you to record a short video clip. That's right. Record a short video clip of yourself. What I want you to do is find your mistakes. That's right. I'm telling you to look for your mistakes. I want you to take your phone, take whatever camera you have, record yourself, and then watch it again. You will recognize your mistakes. Find them. Then I want you to do this. I need you to correct your mistakes. There is power in correcting your own mistakes. Remember, you're looking at yourself. So there's something that happens in your brain. It's like a connection is made like, oh, we said this last time, but we don't need to say this next time. Let's correct it and do this. But you need to record a video of yourself doing it so you can watch your facial expressions. You can watch how you say certain words. Man, is it going to help you so much. It's helped so many of my students. All right. So number 6, here we go. Now, the next one is frustrated about always thinking in your own language. Man, this is something I hear almost every week. Teacher, how can I think in English? I'm always thinking in my mother tongue or my mother language. What's the reason? Why do you get frustrated? It's because you haven't learned how to properly organize your thoughts and ideas in English. Now, remember, there's something that happens in the brain of someone who speaks English because as an American, growing up, we were taught how to think. So my thoughts in English are organized in a different way. from when I think in Korean because I learned how to think in English. You need to do the same thing. But don't worry, that's my job. I'm here to help you learn how to think in English so you can stop being frustrated and stop feeling like you're not improving. All right, first you need to practice the 5 W's rule. Remember? Who, what, when, where, and why. I had a conversation with my students last night about when to use 3 details or 3 examples and when to use the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. You can practice on your own. You can get pictures and try to think creatively. Who is this person? What are they doing? Where are they? Why are they there? You can practice and train your brain to think in that way, even when you're by yourself. Now, that's the 5 W's rule. Or you can use the 3 details rule, which I mentioned that I spoke to my students about last night. I love the 3 details rule, all right, because it's basically saying no matter what the topic is, you need to be able to give 3 details about that topic. It will help you a lot. Now, the final one right here is practice the example rule. This is when you're looking for stories like story time. Think about it. Why do you like story time so much? Why do you enjoy the stories I tell you about my personal life at the end of each lesson? If you haven't seen the story time videos, come on, man, you gotta wait till the end. All right, but think about it. It connects you to me, right? It's something that happens when someone tells you a story and gives you an experience or an example. You need to figure out how to do that. Pick a topic and think of a story, a personal story, or something you've heard that can connect to the topic. You are training your brain to think in that way. And I guarantee the more you practice, the easier it will become for you. All right? Now, let's look at the next thing you're struggling with. The next thing that causes you anxiety is as you focus on a destination and not the journey. This right here happens a lot. It's the tendency to focus on, hey, I want to be here, and forgetting that it's a journey and not a destination. But I understand, we talk about focusing on goals, but English, even though you have English goals, you have to realize it's a journey. Now, what's the reason? Here's the reason right here. You forgot the joy of learning something new and exploring everything about it like a child. That's right. Think about children. They love to learn something new. But as adults, sometimes as we learn a second language, or for some of you, a third or a fourth language, we forget the joy that is supposed to be attached to our journey. We get so focused on books and writing notes and making sure everything is correct that our brain doesn't get an opportunity to enjoy the process. So how can you do this? How can you enjoy the process? Ooh, I'm so glad you asked. Let me show you right here. First, figure out what you enjoy. There's something about English you enjoy. What is it? Find it out and write it down. Then I want you to write the experiences connected to those things or connected to that one thing that brings you joy. Write an experience you had maybe with me when you first came to see my videos, or for those of you who have actually met me in person, how did you feel when you met me in person? If you were my student in Korea, how did you feel? Write those experiences down and then think about when you first used a vocabulary word properly or an expression when you were speaking to another native English speaker. That feeling of accomplishment. Write that experience down. Now, after you write it down, I want you to write future experiences. You are awesome. You are amazing. And you are going to have so many more experiences related to English. Focus on those experiences because they are a part of your journey, and the future experiences will make your journey even better. So here's the deal. I know that sometimes you feel like your English is not improving. Don't get discouraged. Don't be dejected. Instead, pick yourself up. Put a smile on your face. Realize that you are amazing. You're listening to me and you understand what I'm saying. That's a huge accomplishment. Realize it's a journey. Don't judge yourself based on others' abilities. Write down the things that you enjoy. Write down the real English expressions and words you learn. Follow this lesson. Follow the tips I gave you, and I promise you will start to enjoy your journey and realize that you are improving. Now, I do have one other thing that I want to tell you about. I actually did an interview with another English teacher. This is Atara. Now, this is part of part 2. We had a great conversation, about a 30-minute conversation, and she talked about her own students and how they experienced this problem of not feeling like they were improving, and she gives a lot of tips and gives her advice as well. The conversation was so much fun. So again, if you want to see part 2, remember, it's available for all of my Academy students. You can join by clicking this link right here, letsjumprightin.com. The link is right in the description, or you can type it in your URL. Remember, part 2 always gives you some extra information and an extra boost to encourage you. All right. So thank you so much, guys. I'm so happy that you watched this lesson, and I hope it encourages you and helps you know that you are improving every single day. All right. Well, I am so happy that you were here. Remember to always speak English, and I will catch you next week. Oh yeah, it's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. Y'all like that little DJ move right there? All right, so today's story, you know what? I may have told you all this story, but I'm going to tell it again because I really like it. If you haven't heard it, I think you're going to enjoy it. So, I love my family. I love my family so much. And I actually had a nephew. Unfortunately, he passed away. We're okay. You know, God blessed with my other niece, and we've been showering her with love. But so my nephew, he was my guy. So there's something that my nephew used to do that really, even to this day, thinking about it, makes me laugh. So when he was little, him and my other niece, right? When they were about 2 or 3, I used to always play with them. And I'd say, I'm going to spank you, right? So spanking is just on your butt like that. But I do it playfully. Like if they do something, I say, oh, Auntie Tiff is going to get you. I'm sorry, you're in trouble. And they just laugh and run around the house because they wanted me to chase them like a game. So I would chase them, pick them up, tickle them, and then spank them. Not for real. They would be laughing the whole time. This is something we did in the house whenever I had to babysit. So one day I had to go to the store and my nephew was with me. Again, he called me Auntie Tiff. So he was about 3 or 4 years old this time. So we're in the store and he's walking next to me. So I'm looking for something on the shelf and he says, Auntie Tiff. And he's behind me. So I didn't look at him. I said, yes, baby, what's up? He said, Auntie Tiff. I said, okay, Munchkin. I call him Munchkin. So I put down whatever I was holding and I turned to look at him and he was bent over. Like his butt was toward me and he was bent over. I said, what is this kid doing? Now we're in a public place. He's bent over. And as soon as he realizes I turn around, he looks at me and says, spank me. Now, I burst out laughing, but I said, Brayden, his name was Brayden. I said, Brayden, don't say that. Don't say that. Now, the reason I told him not to say that was because, for example, in America, you know, you can't spank children in public or they think it's abuse. But he didn't know what he was saying because, again, it was a game for us. I would chase them around the house and I would spank them very lightly and they would start laughing. So he just thought, Auntie Tiff, I want you to play that game with me today, even though we're in the store. He just kept saying, ooh, spank me, spank me. So needless to say, he just laughed when he realized that I was getting frustrated or flustered, not frustrated. I was like, Munchkin, don't do that, don't do that. He just laughed and kept saying, ooh, spank me, Auntie Tiff, spank me. So everything was fine, but whenever I think about him and I think about that story, it makes me laugh so hard. Children are so innocent, and sometimes they don't know what they're saying. So, you know, I'm sure you guys have really good memories of family and friends, so you guys can put some of your memories in the comment section. But yes, that story makes me smile every time. That little boy, whoo, he was so much fun, and he was a joy to our family. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that story. I will talk to you next week.